fiscally, weaker from the standpoint of national security. This president has taken America in a direction that it isn't comfortable in going. It's not natural for America to have itself be weakened by higher taxes and more debt and more government control. And America at its core is a country that was founded on the principle of limited government, free people exercising their moral responsibility as it was given to them from God. I always talk about America as its foundation was a government that was founded on the principle that all men are created equal, right? And endowed by their Creator. That is, people want to say, what is American exceptionalism? That's American exceptionalism. Right there. What makes us different than every other country in the history of the world is a recognition that we are children of God, not any God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that as children of God, we have rights that come to us because we are His children. And that this government was the first government in the history of the world that recognized that reality and then set up a government of men to protect those rights so people could pursue what in the Declaration? What could they pursue? The pursuit of the pursuit of happiness. What was the definition of happiness at the time of our founders? Actually, I had a pastor in Sioux City. That's still in Iowa, but it's a long way away. I had a pastor in Sioux City tell me the definition of happiness at the time of our founders. I didn't know this. Anybody know what it was? I didn't know, so don't feel guilty that you don't know.
It was land ownership.
No. Definition of happiness.
Religion.
No. Definition of happiness was to do the morally right thing. Why? Because our founders and people at that time understood that true happiness comes from doing what God calls you to do. That's how you move on. America today, it's the pursuit of happiness. We see that and we think, oh, pleasure. But those of you who are a little gray in the temples know that running around pursuing pleasure doesn't lead to happiness ultimately. Right? It leads to a lot of things that happiness is a fleeting part. So you had a moral enterprise, which is America. America was founded on God-given rights for free people to pursue God's will in their life, and we changed the world. The world changed because of America. We went from a country that was this little tiny country that believed in free people, where life expectancy was, as it was in most of Europe, 30 to 40 years, 35 to 40 years of age, as it had been since the time of Jesus Christ, I might add. And then a mere 235 years because of that basic concept of limited government, free people, doing God's will, living moral lives. Not, of course, perfect moral lives by any stretch, but the ability to live those lives and to be called to live those lives. Life expectancy in America doubled, more than doubled. And now we went from an agrarian society, which again had been in place for over 1,000 years, to an industrial society, to a technology society, to the point where the richest person in America today, the poorest person in America today, by terms of creature comforts, is richer than most people were 50 years ago. Not even 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Anybody want the health care that you had 50 years ago in America? Even the poorest American has access to the highest quality health care in the world. So we think about the progress that America has stood for. And yet we have a president. Winston Churchill said something, I read something he said that sort of struck me. That the argument and the debate is not about the future. The debate is about the past. Now you think about that, and that doesn't make any sense, does it? How can the debate be about the past? But ultimately, that's what's true. It is about the past. How do you see America? Is America, as I described it, This shining city on the hill, the greatest country in the history of the world because of individual freedom and moral laws and opportunity. A country that was built that allowed people to provide for themselves and pursue their dreams and transform the world. Or is America an imperialistic, paternalistic, misogynistic, unfair, corrupt, you name it. Listen to what they're saying in Zuccotti Park. Is that the America that you know?